Okay, so you want to host your own Ollama server in the cloud. Well, that's what we're going to do today using AWS, Ollama, and Llama 3. Okay, let's get started setting up Ollama on AWS. Now, if you don't have an AWS account, go up to the top here and click Complete Sign Up, and it will walk you through the steps for creating a AWS account. Once you've done that, hop back over to the video. Now, one thing to call out, this will not be a deep dive into AWS, but I will be showing you how to get Ollama set up running on an EC2 instance within AWS. So let's go ahead and create a new EC2 instance where we're going to be hosting our Ollama server here. So I'm going to select EC2 instance here, and I am then going to go here, and you can see I don't have any EC2 instances currently running, so I'm going to launch a EC2 instance here. So I'm going to go up to the top here and click Launch Instance, and I'll be presented with this screen here. Now I'm going to give this a name of Ollama Server, and the OS that we're going to be using is Ubuntu here. So I'm going to select that there, and I'm going to continue scrolling down here, and I want to select a certain instance type. Now, just note the instance type is the type of server we're going to be running. Now, we're going to be needing a GPU. Now, I'm going to be selecting a server that's GPU capable. Now, I'm going to type in G4EN, and I'm going to select the very first option up here. Now, we get some information around this server here. We can see the estimated cost per hour. So to run this demo here, it's going to cost maybe 25 to 50 cents max here to get this all set up. So I'm going to select that. Now, one thing to note, be sure you shut down this server if you're not going to be using it. This is going to be kind of something you could use for a development environment if you don't have a local GPU. All right, I'm going to continue to scroll down here. Now, this key pair here is going to allow us to SSH into our Linux server here. So I am going to create a new key pair, and I'm just going to call this Ollama key, and I am going to click here, and I have now downloaded that key. Now, note where you've downloaded that key, because you'll need to reference that when we're typing in the command line command to SSH into that server. Now, the networking, I'm going to leave all of that default for now, and I'm going to allow SSH traffic. We will alter this security group, so we are only allowing traffic from our IP address. All right, so we're going to continue to scroll down here, and we're going to adjust the storage because we're going to need more than 8 gigs of storage space. I am going to select 100 just to be safe, because the models that we're going to download with Ollama are going to take up some space. So I'm going to continue to scroll down here, and the next thing that we're going to set up here is advanced details. Now, I'm going to continue to scroll to the very bottom. We're going to make some changes in the user data section. Now, note the user data section allows us to run commands when we set up this EC2 instance. So the command that I am going to first add here is this here, and this is allowing us to create a interpreter for us to enter command line commands. So we're going to be using the bash interpreter there. Now, the next command here is going to be the curl command, which allows us to download Ollama. Now, I'm going to hop over to the Ollama website so you understand where I got this command. Okay, I'm back, and I've got the Ollama website pulled up here. Now, I'm assuming you're slightly familiar or have run Ollama in the past, and that's why you're watching this video. So I'm not going to go super deep on the Ollama website. I've got some other videos down in the description if you want to dive deeper into Ollama. Now, first thing that we're going to do is we can see up here, we can go and get models here. And here, the model we're going to be using for this video is going to be Llama 3. Now, we're going to go click here and go back to downloads, and we're going to go to the Linux downloads. Now, this is where I have the second command that we're going to be running when we set up our EC2 instance. So all I've done is copy this command here and pasted that into our user data section within AWS. So let's hop back over to the AWS EC2 instance setup. Okay, I'm back at the AWS EC2 setup screen here, and we now know where we got this curl command. This curl command is going to download Ollama onto our server and set it up as a service in the background. Now, the next command that I like to run is the sudo systemctl start Ollama. Now, this command is going to ensure that our Ollama service is started in the background on our server. So these are the 3 commands that we need to put in the user data section in order to get Ollama up and running on our EC2 instance. So the last thing that we need to do here is go over to the side and click launch instance. So it'll go through its process and start launching this instance for us. Next thing that we're going to do is go up to the top here and select instances. And we are going to only want to look for the instances that are in a certain state here. So we only want to look at instances that are in a running state. So this is the instance that we just set up here. We can see the status check is currently initializing. Once this is done setting up, this status check will show as check passed. So I'm going to pause the video and come back once this is done setting up for us. Okay, I'm back, and you can see my Ollama server is officially up and running. We can see the different pieces of information around the server that we've set up. We can see the name here. We can see the instance ID, which is unique and has been assigned to this Ollama server. And we can see the current state is running. And then the other few pieces of information that we can see here is the instance type. So we selected this particular instance type, the G4DNX large. Now, this instance type here has a GPU. If you hang around to the end of the video, I'll show you where you can get different information around the other GPU supported instance types that AWS offers. And then the last thing here, we can see the status check. It's passed the 2 status checks that it's periodically running to check the state of the EC2 instance. So let's jump down to the next section here. I'm going to make some changes related to security, because we are only going to want our computer, our local computer that we're working on, to have access to this Ollama server. So the next thing I'm going to do is go down here and click security, and then we're going to scroll down here and we're going to select this particular security group here. So let's go ahead and click there, and we can get some information around the security group. We've just got a generic name here. We can always change this later, but the most important thing that we want to be making changes for are the inbound rules here. So I'm going to click here and select inbound rules, and we're only going to want our local computer to have the capability to SSH into this server here. Now we'll make some other changes as we work through this video on being able to maybe access this from the Ollama API also. So I'm going to click my IP. This is going to populate this with my IP address, so that way only my IP can access this server here. And then we're going to go over here and click save. So we've now ensured that only our local computer that we're currently working on can access this Ollama server. Okay, now that we have our Ollama server set up, let's SSH into that server. So next, I am going to jump over into a terminal window so that we can SSH into the Ollama server. Okay, I now have my terminal pulled up here, and the next thing I need to do is change directories to where I downloaded my SSH. So I downloaded mine in the downloads folder here. Next, I need to change the permissions on my SSH key here. So I'm going to type in sudo change mod, and the permissions are going to be 600. Just know that gives me read-write permissions to the file that I am referencing. And I am going to type in ollama-key.tim, and it's going to ask for my password. You're going to now enter your password, and this is what you're going to get. So if everything worked correctly, you should just get a blank screen there. And so now I can now use this key to SSH into my Ollama server to run Ollama commands. The first thing I need to do is get the IP address of my Ollama server. So let's jump back over into the AWS console to get the IP address that was assigned to our Ollama server. Okay, I got the AWS console pulled back up where my EC2 instance is running, and the next thing I'm going to do is just select the EC2 instance here. And we can see my public IP address is 54.145.158.114. So let's go ahead and copy that, paste that in Notepad. That way you can reference that. And let's hop back over into the terminal. Okay, I've got my terminal pulled back up here, and now I'm going to type the command to SSH into my Ollama server. The first thing I'm going to do is type SSH-I. I represents the identity or the private key that we're going to be using here. So it is going to be Ollama-key, .pem, and then next we're going to type in Ubuntu as the user, and then we're going to type at the IP that our server has been assigned. Now I'm just going to paste that in here, and that was the IP that was assigned to our Ollama server. So I am next going to click enter, and it will ask you a question here. Are you sure you want to continue? We're going to type in yes here, and next we should be able to log in. So I'm now officially SSH into my Ollama server running on AWS. So at the top we can get some different information about the current memory usage, private IP that's been assigned, and things of that nature. So let's clear this out here, and next we're going to run a command here to just see, is the Ollama service running in the background. So I'm going to type in sudo systemctl, and then I'm going to type status, and the name of our service is Ollama. So I'm going to hit enter here, and if we go up here, we can see that it is in a active state here. So I'm going to exit out of that, hitting Control C, and clear the screen one more time. Now we're going to type in Ollama list, and this will list all the models that are currently running on our Ollama server. And we can see we don't have any models. Again, we're going to be using Llama 3 in this demo here. So I'm going to type in Ollama poll and the name of our model. So ours is going to be Llama 3, and we're going to hit enter. And we can see now it's pulling this down onto our Ollama server. So I'm going to let this run, pause the video, and come back once it's done. Okay, our Llama 3 model has now officially been downloaded to our EC2 instance running on AWS. Now let's test out the model here. So I'm going to type in Ollama run Llama 3. And this will take a few minutes to load the model into the GPU memory. All right, so the model is now loaded for us, and it says send a message. So let's say, what is your name, and see what we get. So it says I don't have a personal name, I'm AI. All right, let's see if it can generate some simple code for us. Right, simple Python code to add to number. And we can see it's now generating some simple Python code for us. So we can see that our Llama 3 model is officially running on our EC2 instance. So you may be asking, how can I access this without SSHing into our EC2 instance running on AWS? So that's what we'll cover next. Okay, in order to access our Ollama server outside of the server itself, we are going to need to make some changes to the Ollama service configuration. Now, I'll put documentation links down below, but what we're going to do is type in sudo systemctl edit ollama.service. Now, this will open the service configuration for us for the Ollama service here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a service setting here, and I'm just going to paste this here, and we are going to say environment equals Ollama host 0.0.0. So we're basically saying allow this Ollama server to be accessed anywhere outside of this server, but we're still going to lock this down to only allow access from our local IP. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Control X, and we're going to click yes because we want to save that. And we are now going to clear this here, and I'm going to run sudo systemctl, and we're going to type in restart so we can restart the Ollama server so that the new settings will take effect. So I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to type in sudo systemctl, and we're going to just check the status to make sure Ollama's up and running. And we can see Ollama is actively running for us here. So let's hit Control C there, and let's clear the screen. Now let's jump back over into the AWS console, because we're going to have to make a change to our security group to allow access only from our local IP address. We don't want to leave this open to the outside world. Anyone who discovers your IP address can then abuse your Ollama server and just make calls freely to it. All right, so we'll jump over into the AWS console. Okay, I've got my AWS console pulled back up here, and I'm on the EC2 instance dashboard. I'm going to go here and click instances, and we can see we have our instance here that we've set up, and I'm going to select that. Next, I'm going to go down to the security tab, And again, I am going to go to the security group and click on it. And we're going to go to the bottom and click Edit Inbound Rules again. So again, I am going to click Add Rule here, and we are going to use a custom TCP rule here. And Ollama exposes its service over port 11434, and we're going to again select my IP because we only want our IP to have the ability to access this through the API. So I'm going to select my IP, and next I am going to click Save Rule. Now, once those rules take effect, it takes a couple seconds. We'll then be able to make calls using the HTTP API that we've exposed with Ollama on our server. All right, so that's what we'll test next. Okay, to verify that our Ollama server is up and running and accessible from our local computer, I'm gonna go and grab the IP address that we have for our server. So I'm gonna go back over to the EC2 instance dashboard here, go to instances, and go to the bottom here and copy that IP address. Next, I am going to open a new tab here, and I'm going to type in http:// paste the IP, and then :11434. And we can see Ollama is running here. So we have now verified that we can access our Ollama server that's running on AWS. So let's next test to make sure we can make API calls via the curl command in the terminal. So that's what we'll do next and hop over into the terminal. Okay, I got my terminal pulled up here, and I am now going to make some calls to my Ollama server using the API endpoint. So I'm going to paste in a command here. Don't worry about typing this all out. I will have this in documentation down in the description. So the first thing you notice here is I'm calling the curl command, and I'm using the public IP address using the port 11434, and I'm calling API/generate, and then I'm passing in some data here. Now you can see the first thing I'm passing through here is the model, which we're going to be using Llama 3, and then the prompt, and I'm just telling it, write me some simple Java code to divide two numbers, and the last thing I'm saying, stream out the output in chunks. So I'm going to hit enter here and see what kind of output the model generates for us. So this may take a few seconds, and now we can see that it's now generating this out and writing it out in chunks. Now we can see that it finished writing it out, and of course in the real world you'll probably be calling this through a web application. All right, so let's clear this out, and next I am gonna make the same call, and the only difference is I said stream false. So you can see it sitting here waiting, and it's gonna take time, and it gave me all the output all at once without streaming it back. So we've now set up our Ollama server to accept external API requests. And of course, in the real world, like I said, you're going to want to control who can make calls to this server. Now, I did say earlier in the video that I would show you how you can go find out what are the different instance types that support GPUs on AWS. So that's what we'll do next. So I'm gonna jump back over into the browser. Okay, I got the browser pulled up here, and I'm on the Amazon EC2 G4 instances website here. And we can get some information about the G4 instance types here. And you can see the call out here is the most cost-effective GPU instances, and that's why I selected it for this demo here. Now, if I scroll further down, you can get some other information. I'm gonna go down to see what are our other sizes of instance types that we can run here. So we can see the different product details. I'm running the G4 DN X Large for this demo here, and we can see we have one GPU here, and we can see how many virtual CPUs and how much RAM we have on here also. And then we can get some things around the storage and the network bandwidth, and then we get things around the cost. So to run this here for an hour, it runs about 52 cents. But if you were to purchase this on reserve or 3-year reserve, you'll have some cost savings there. Now we can scroll further down here, and we have some other instance types here. So we could do the G4 AD X Large, and that costs roughly 37 cents per hour on demand. So again, these are great instances for you to run hobby or demo projects, something that you're just going to be running on your own to test things out, right? So that's why I'm using this instance type for this demo. So now you know how to find the different instance types. I will include this down in the description below also. Now, if you found this video helpful, hit like, subscribe, Also, comment down below if you'd like to see something else as it relates to running Ollama. And if you like this video, probably like the 2 videos up on the screen. All right, thanks for hanging around, and see you in the next video.